As some of you may know, my aquatic snail, whom I named Esposito, ended up passing away. I think it ended up being a situation where my filter was way too big and subsequently way too powerful, even though it said it went up to a 10-gallon tank, and my tank is about 6.7. And so I feel like there was just something that kind of went on with that in regards to the fact that he was just not able to particularly keep up with it and kind of hold on, unfortunately. And either that hurt him or he just got way too stressed out and could not eat or would not eat, and he subsequently passed away. I want to say like Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. In the meantime, which is why I have the camera on this guy or girl, I cannot sex smells, I suck at this. I acquired myself a nice little land snail. Now, I can't say exactly how I acquired him, but as you can see, the land snail requires a hell of a lot less maintenance than an aquatic snail. For example, as you can see, the setup is a lot smaller because these guys can actually be in a very small, though thoroughly, prepared enclosure, as opposed to my aquatic snails, which require a lot of the same sort of needs as a fish, essentially, or my betta fish. Secondly, they don't like their food requirements are something I could buy at the supermarket and call it a fucking day. And this is some arugula I had in here for 2 days. Later on I might bring up something else if I can find it, or just some more arugula. I don't know how freshness really plays into snail care. As I've said, I'm very new to snails, essentially. I can't remember what this guy is species-wise, but when he arrived, he was really not good state-wise. He actually came with 2 other snails who got crushed in transit, so obviously they're dead. But I'm going off here. He doesn't require a very big enclosure. This is a critter keeper. This is just something you can buy in the pet store and you will be all set for that. He requires some dirt. This dirt I happen to have. They do say that you should always try, unless you're willing to take the risk, which I totally was because I don't care, boil the dirt. Or not boil the dirt, sorry. Sanitize the dirt by putting it in the oven to kind of desanitize, get rid of the bugs, kill any bugs, kill any sort of weird-ass bacteria shit. Given the fact that I was absolutely not prepared when I received him, I had absolutely nothing prepared for him. I did have this terrarium, specifically actually to bring my fish home, but I figure, I can always just buy a second one or, try something out with him and then just put the dirt in here. So I got this dirt from a pot I had outside. The arugula was in the refrigerator. I also originally put him in a damp paper towel because snails, all snails, including also slugs, which are a whole different shebang, require moisture to actually live, essentially. Their body produces moisture, but they also just need moisture because they don't have hair. When it comes to a lot of, animals who don't have hair, I'm learning they really need a lot of skin protection, like people. They require some degree of moisture because they can't produce that moisture. So they require a lot of moisture, which is also why, if you can see, I have moistened the soil a little bit more today, and I plan to get myself a little spray bottle and come up every day and just kind of moisten the environment because they really need wetness. And you can't keep it too wet. Like, you can't have a ginormous puddle, because if a snail should fall into a ginormous puddle, they could drown because they lack the physical ability to swim, and they also really have the physical inability to get out of water that's really deep. Also, you have to be careful that these guys don't go upside down, because like aquatic snails do, you also have to make sure that they don't die, because they can't right themselves. They're not the strongest animal. They can eat a lot and they can lift a lot, but for some reason they cannot lift themselves. So they're very fragile, incredibly fragile. So that's it for now. I have decided, I was very worried that this one wasn't even going to open up. I worried he was dead too. But clearly he's not. I think, given the fact that I did a cooking class just now, and I'm like literally just coming back from it, I think I'm going to name it Crudité, which is basically a fancy word for like some fun vegetable spread with some nice dipping sauce. But obviously not naming it escargot. But I think I'm gonna name it Crudité because it just sounds really cool. So anyway, this is an introduction to my new pet. The snake situation has definitely not been taken off the table. Obviously, he just ended up arriving impromptu, without warning. Nobody, like, I seem to be getting pets, like, just like dropping in from heaven and having to like scream to accommodate them, which is the same way as I got my beta, because I did not plan for fish at all. But that's for another time. Alright, so that's Crudité. Hopefully he lives a long and happy snail life.